Flock safety cameras collect data from every single vehicle that passes by.
I'm not comfortable knowing that my movements over the last month can be reconstructed in very great detail.
Flock cameras have become controversial mainly over privacy concerns.
Now, Flock would push back pretty hard on the claim that they're spying on you. The company's position is that it captures point-in-time information about vehicles that are publicly visible. They say that they don't use facial recognition, but will they be able to later? That's my question. Flock also says that its LPR data is deleted after 30 days, although that can depend on what the customer wants to do with the information. And I guess that's fair, but if they see you here at 8:03 and here at 8:07 and here at 10:30 every night because you're with your side piece, at what point are we arguing about the definition of tracking? Now look, I'm not a criminal. I'm not saying that I'm doing shady stuff that I don't want them to know about. So am I particularly concerned that some guy over at Flock might know that I'm going to Taco Bell for my second time in one day? No.
What is this guy doing? Is he going to Taco Bell again?
Is it still embarrassing? Yeah, a little bit. But that's not my biggest problem. My biggest problem with the whole thing is that this is not the military. This is not the FBI. This is not the CIA. This is not any other government entity. This is a private company that has access to all these cameras all over the United States and can do whatever they want with this information technically. So let's think about it. A private for-profit company named Flock Safety has been able to build an enormous network of AI-powered cameras across America capable of tracking any vehicle at any time, and nobody says anything about it. And apparently at some point, everybody decided, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I've never watched any of these thousands of videos about how AI takes over and robots want to kill everybody. But remember Will Smith?
Oh, wow!
That's not the Will Smith I was talking about. Does anybody remember voting on this? I don't remember it on the ballot. I remember voting on politicians, taxes, schools, all that stuff, but I don't remember this.
Hey, is it cool if we let a private company build a network of 80,000 cameras all over the U.S. that they could use for whatever they would like to do?
And all of these 80-year-old politicians don't even know what AI is? That's going to be a good idea. That's going to work out perfectly.
That's a fact.
Now, to be fair, Flock did not go out in the middle of the night and just start installing cameras when nobody knew. People actually let this happen. Police stations, cities, HOAs, you name it. They're all over the place. Private businesses. It's happening and people are signing up for it. And Flock says that the customers own that data. But I don't know if that's any better. So I'm here to figure out what exactly can these things see? What can they do? Who can search the data? Do they actually catch criminals? Has the system been abused? And most importantly, how the did a private company build something this expansive and powerful without any of us actually knowing about it? Because I'll tell you right now, my gut reaction is absolutely not, let's take them down. But I've also found some very legitimate reasons why these cameras might exist, and why they might be good. So, is this just the way the world is going? Is it even worth talking about? Are we going to end up in Blade Runner? The first thing you need to understand about these Flock cameras is how incredibly easy they are to miss. They're usually mounted on poles. Many have solar panels. They sit near intersections, neighborhood entrances, parking areas, and roadways. I even saw one at a Walmart. Traditional security cameras usually record video of an area. Flock's automatic license plate readers are specifically designed to detect vehicles and capture information associated with them. And individually, I don't really give a shit. The gas station has cameras. Walmart has cameras. My Tesla has enough cameras to shoot the next $1 billion Avatar movie with perfect composition. Cameras aren't new. The network is the interesting part. Because one camera knows your vehicle was at one location, but enough cameras? Now we're potentially creating a pattern. And patterns can tell stories. Where a vehicle goes, when it gets there, where it appears repeatedly, what route it takes. And again, Flock's position is that this is not continuous tracking of people. Its cameras capture individual observations of publicly visible vehicles at specific points in time. But this is where I struggle. Because if Greg from Flock sees my vehicle at a Taco Bell one time, there's an observation. If Greg sees me twice in one day, there's a pattern that can be recognized. And if thousands of cameras can potentially produce enough observations to reconstruct where a vehicle has been, I think we need to at least have an honest conversation about what that means. But there's a pretty big difference between a car was visible in public and your car was visible in public and we created a searchable record of every time participating cameras saw it. Those are not the same fucking thing. Flock Safety was founded in 2017, which means this enormous surveillance debate is being brought to us by a company younger than Fortnite. Fantastic. The company sells technology to police departments, local governments, neighborhoods, and Flock's pitch is pretty simple. Criminals use cars. Cars have license plates. If you can identify a suspect vehicle and quickly figure out where it has been seen, you can potentially solve crimes faster. And as business pitches go, that's a pretty freaking good one. Because imagine you're a police department. A store gets robbed. Witnesses see a suspect leave in a white Honda. Normally, you start getting footage, calling other agencies, checking cameras. Maybe somebody gets lucky. But with an automated license plate reader network, investigators may be able to search for vehicles matching relevant criteria and see whether participating cameras capture them. That's pretty powerful. And the word powerful is going to do a lot of work in this video because Flock sees that power and says, we solve crime. And privacy advocates see that power and say,
Excuse me?
both reactions are valid. And by 2026, reporting describes a network of more than 80,000 cameras. Which brings me back to my original question. When did we decide this is okay? Seriously, at what camera count are we supposed to have a discussion about this? Is it 10, 20, 30, 3,000, 3 million? Because one camera is a camera. 80,000 cameras is a dystopian future that we didn't think we would see. An infrastructure this powerful usually comes with a pretty important question. Who in the hell is accountable for it? Now here is the part that annoys me because this video would be so much easier if these cameras were absolutely useless. I could sit here for 20 minutes, call everybody involved idiots. I could sprinkle in a couple Michael Scott memes and we could all finish early.
That's what she said.
Michael, please.
Unfortunately, these cameras actually do have some pretty legitimate uses. Houston police, for example, have stated the technology helped them recover $7.5 million worth of stolen vehicles in 2021. Now, if this was 30 years ago when a vehicle was $6,000 a piece, that'd be pretty good. But a new Suburban's $150K. Now, here's the part that it really gets hard to talk about because Flock itself says that their technology helps law enforcement recover thousands of missing people every year. Although that number comes from Flock's own personal reporting and it cannot be verified. And let's forget the statistics for a second. Imagine somebody kidnaps a child. Please have a description of the specific vehicle. Do you want the detectives manually calling 400 different businesses saying,
hey, can we see some of your VCR footage?
or do you want them searching immediately based on the last known location of that vehicle? Obviously, the cameras are going to be a better resolution for that problem. I mean, I'm a dad. If my kid was kidnapped or something crazy happened, I would be calling them, telling to check the cameras immediately. But that's not the point. This is where the conversation becomes difficult. Because do you trade your freedom for safety? I can think of a couple countries or points in time where that's happened and it didn't work out very well for everybody.
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
And I think based off of my tone, you can tell what I really believe about this. But I just want to capture both sides. I don't want to be a talking head on here complaining about something. I want to give you the facts. This is where I need to explain my biggest issue with Flock. And it isn't that I think everybody that works there is evil. I don't think there's a secret underground facility where 400 guys named Greg are watching me go to Home Depot for the 4th time in a weekend because I forgot to buy the one thing that I went there to buy. My problem is infrastructure itself. I've said this before, but what we're doing here is we're allowing a private, for-profit company to build a massive network of AI cameras all around the US that can pinpoint anybody that it wants to at any time. And we're not even talking about the fact that they could turn this into facial recognition by turning on a switch or changing the software. We're just talking about what they do right now, which is tracking vehicles, not people. But this is a gateway drug. If we allow them to track our vehicles, why wouldn't they just track our faces too? Because it would help them catch 1% more crimes per year, and it would save police stations millions of dollars. What I can't get past is how little public conversation I've heard about this specific topic. And I want to be clear that I'm not saying that I trust the government here. Obviously not. You shouldn't. These are the same people that take 6 months to send you a piece of paper explaining that you sent them the wrong piece of paper and get mad about it. I'm not arguing that government surveillance is good, obviously, and it can be abused, and I'm sure that it would and will. But there's one fundamental difference between government control and a private company's control. The government is supposed to work for us. We elect people, we vote them out. We have courts, constitutional rights. Are all of these systems perfect? Absolutely not. Some of them operate with the speed and efficiency of a Roomba robot stuck underneath my couch, but mechanisms exist. I cannot vote out Flock safety. I didn't elect its CEO. I don't get a ballot if its policies change. I don't get a vote if the ownership changes. And that's the part that bothers me. Because let's just assume for a second that the people that are running flock safety today have good intentions and they're only using it for good things. I'm serious. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. What if they're perfect human beings and have no bad intention? What happens in 10 years? What happens when the company gets sold? What happens if the leadership changes and they hire the Antichrist? What happens as the technology becomes more powerful? We've seen that. Look how fast AI has gone from being an idiot to being just kind of stupid. What happens when they can identify more than just the vehicle? I'm not accusing Flock of secretly planning all those things. I'm asking a much simpler question. Why do we build the infrastructure first and then start talking about the philosophical issues afterwards? Because once the network exists, the conversation changes. You're no longer asking, should we build this? You're asking, well, it's already here. Now what? What do we do? And those are two completely different conversations. Now, the strongest response to my argument is pretty straightforward.
Your license plate is public. You drive on public roads. Anybody standing on the sidewalk can see your car. So what privacy has actually been violated?
If I stand on the sidewalk and watch your car go by, I haven't invaded your privacy or your home. A cop can see your license plate. Your neighbor can see your plate. The cameras we already have can see your plate. So why is an AI camera suddenly different? My answer is scale. One person seeing my car is an observation. One camera seeing my car is an observation. But tens of thousands of cameras seeing my car and creating a searchable database of where I've been, that's completely different. Not because any single piece of information is a secret, because enough public information collected together can reveal things no individual observation could. Where a vehicle regularly appears, when it leaves, when it returns, what places it visits, what patterns emerge from the information collected. And I think that is where the phrase, "I have nothing to hide," completely misses the point. Because I don't have anything to hide either. Privacy isn't about hiding crimes. Sometimes I don't think a company needs to know shit that isn't their business. And I don't think that's an unreasonable position to have. I'm not saying that the Flock CEO sits in his evil lair watching every car in America all day long. What I am kind of saying is that the Flock CEO is selling our freedom for his personal financial gain.
Boom. Roasted.
This is where my concern stops being hypothetical. Because throughout human history, whenever you create a powerful system, it tends to be abused. And in 2026, some jurisdictions have started restricting or walking away from Flock amid concerns over civil liberties, security, data ownership, and sharing. The LAPD recently halted its use of Flock cameras after an inspector general audit urged stronger privacy and oversight protections. And this is the test that I use for any kind of surveillance power. Don't imagine the person that you trust most using it. Imagine the person that you trust least using it. And then there's another problem. Sometimes the technology or the information fed into the broader system gets it wrong. In one recent 2026 case, automotive journalist Joe Feder was driving a loaner Range Rover when a combination of a mistaken stolen plate report and Flock's reading of the manufacturer plate contributed to the vehicle being flagged. Police confronted and detained him in a parking lot before determining the vehicle was legitimate. In another documented case, a Flock camera misread a plate character, contributing to an innocent person being arrested. And this is one of my biggest issues with AI and automation in general. Not just that computers make mistakes. I mean, humans make mistakes constantly, right? Last week, I spent 10 minutes looking for my phone when I was on it. But the real danger is when humans start using computers' answers as facts. There's a huge difference between
The system says this might be the vehicle.
and
The system found the vehicle.
one is a lead, the other is a conclusion. And when the conclusion involves police approaching a person they believe may be driving a stolen car, that distinction matters quite a bit. Technology should make investigators faster. It shouldn't make skepticism optional. And here's another part of the story I can't get over. You have to remember, these cameras are not being used by just police departments. Private communities and companies can use these Flock cameras too, which means we've reached the point in human civilization when the HOA can track you by your car and give you tickets to make them more money. So is Flock evil? No, I don't think that's the honest conclusion. If the question here was, can Flock be used for good? Obviously, it's a yes. But that's not my question. My question is, should a private company have been able to build such an enormous infrastructure of AI cameras without a discussion or a vote from the American people that it's affecting? And my answer to that is
No.
not because they're evil, and not because I'm against law enforcement using new technology to stop dangerous people or crimes. I just think trust us is an insane foundation for surveillance infrastructure. Because once the infrastructure exists, It's a lot harder to put it back in the box. Here's the uncomfortable part that nobody wants to talk about. Maybe this is just where the world is going. Cameras are getting cheaper, AI is getting better, and connecting it all is getting easier. Maybe in 20 years, driving across a city without creating a digital footprint is going to sound as insane as a phone booth sounds. Maybe my son will hear me complain about this someday and say,
Wait, you used to drive around and the government didn't know where you were at all times?
and I'll say, yeah, we called that freedom. When I started looking into Flock, I already knew that I didn't like it. And after looking into it, I still don't like it. I don't think that Flock is an evil company. I don't think that it has no real use case, because it clearly does. And if one camera helps find a kid that was kidnapped or a murderer or recover somebody's stolen car, that's real. I can't just ignore that part of it because it makes the argument less convenient. And if it were my kid, my car, my family, I'd want them to use every camera that they had. But I keep coming back to the same question. How did we allow this private company to gain so much power without anybody knowing about it or having a discussion about it? Because maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I believe if we're going to build a system that can potentially monitor movement at scale and strip our freedoms, I feel like the public should probably be involved in that decision. And trust us just isn't enough for me. Maybe in 20 years, the fact that we're even talking about this is going to sound ridiculous because we're going to have chips in our head or cameras all over the place or whatever it's going to be. I have no idea. But if that's the future that we're walking into, I'd like to at least know before we get there.